What's up, guys? Welcome to Knockers on the Bottom. I'm your host, Jay Mill. Jay Miller, if you like. So let's get into it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It's draft night. Excited. Cowboys here have finally made their pick. So we know the first addition to the Dallas Cowboys is Tyler Booker. So Cowboys, in true Cowboy fashion, add another Tyler to the room. It wouldn't be a Dallas Cowboys draft without a Tyler, right? But to be serious, Tyler Booker is a big man, right? He's a big boy. He's very physical at the point of attack. Not as athletic, but he's playing guard, so he doesn't necessarily need to be some super athlete when it comes to being able to run fast or being able to, you know, necessarily have a high 40 time. I mean, he's a big boy. The thing I like about the Tyler Booker pick, and I know I see a lot of social media freaking out because he is an offensive lineman, and the Cowboys always seem to pick an offensive lineman in the first round, especially lately. We've had Tyler Smith, we've had Tyler Guyton, we've had Cooper Beebe. Now we add a Tyler Booker. But Tyler Booker is going to probably slide in at right guard, where Zach Martin just retired. And I'm not saying he's going to be Zach Martin, but also on the flip side, we had a lot of trouble last year when Zach Martin was in the game. He wasn't necessarily playing as well. He was getting kind of blown up at the point of attack, and it was A, because he was aging, and B, because he was injured, which is probably the reason that led to his retirement. And when he got hurt for the remainder of the season, and we plugged somebody like Brock Hoffman in, right? Brock Hoffman ended up making Terrence Steele a little better because Terrence Steele was looking suspect early on in the season. And once you plugged in Brock Hoffman, Terrence Steele wasn't looking so much suspect. He was looking serviceable, which is quite interesting because you figure having someone, if we just want to go back pre ACL, right? So when Terrence Steele tore his ACL, which was not last year, so 2022, 2023, I want to say somewhere around there late in the season. I can't remember whether it was the 2022 season or the 2023 season, but up until that point, just before he tore his ACL, I know a lot of us tend to forget, but he pretty much at that point was the best offensive lineman. So it had to be Tyler Smith's rookie season because, of course, Tyler Smith definitely became the best lineman. So it was when Tyler Smith had his first season, left tackle, and that also ended up being the year that Tyron Smith, another Ty, just not a Tyler, Tyron Smith, he ended up having an injury similar to one Dak Prescott suffered this season where he tore his like hamstring off the bone. Like Tyron Smith did something very similar to that. It might not have been a hamstring, might have been a quad, but it might have been a hamstring. But either way, what I'm saying is that was when Terrence Steele was at his best. Zach Martin was still Zach Martin. So it kind of helped out a little bit having a really good Zach Martin next to Terrence Steele coming into his own with the good offensive line coach at the time. And, it kind of helped Terrence Steele progress in his game. He looked really good. And then he tore his ACL before we even got to the playoff game. And we had to do some shuffling. And not saying that that's the reason for whatever the result was, but we know how that went. So fast forward. And you have Brock Hoffman last year. When he came in, Terrence Steele again started to improve his play. So I say that to say, hopefully having something like Tyler Booker or someone, not something, he's a human, having someone like Tyler Booker there this year, you're going to have either one or two scenarios. Scenario one, you're going to have Tyler Booker be a rookie and kind of struggle a little bit in the beginning of the season, right? He's going to be in training camp. He's going to be battling for a starting spot. He's going to be trying to pick up from every single person. He's going to go out there, and he's going to have typical rookie struggles from September and October. But then once November hits, he's going to kind of start to pick up his game a little bit. And then what will also happen is Terrence Steele will end up picking up his game a little bit because Terrence Steele needs one of those people next to him in order for him to excel, which is probably the same for all offensive linemen, considering out of all the groups on the entire team, offensive line is probably the one that needs to play as a cohesive unit the most, right? Those five guys, I don't agree with a lot that Jerry Jones says, right? Jerry Jones tends to spit a lot of, but one of the things he said during the press conference is the offensive line is the team within the team, right? So I kind of feel that's a really accurate description. They're one of the few units, the only other unit I will really give that to is maybe like linebackers, but not even to the same extent as offensive line. So offensive line needs to kind of be cohesive. They need time to gel. They need time to learn each other. They need to be very studious, because a lot of times what you're doing when there's stunts, when there's twists, when there's different run blocking schemes, whether it's a man, whether it's zone, you have to have a good understanding as to what all the other guys on the offense are going to do so that you can do your job at the best. So it's one of those positions where you really need mentally capable players. People underrate that, right? Quarterback needs to process quickly. Wide receiver needs to be able to understand what the quarterback is seeing and make adjustments on the fly. But people like centers who have to set protections and also have to know what the quarterback is seeing and understand the cadence and snap the ball while at the same time being able to get on the guy that is either laying up head over him or to the left or right of him, knowing the schemes of the people to the left or right of him, to be able to help those guys in case there's some sort of trouble. I'm uncovered. I need to know where the points of failure are in our scheme to make sure that I'm, shifting left or right to make sure I get to those guys. So what I'm saying is offensive line is a super cerebral position. Tyler Booker's a really good pick because he's a very cerebral player, right? That's like the strength of his game on top of his strength. So not only is he a strong guy, he's a smart guy. So then you have the other side of the plane, how I talked about maybe him struggling his rookie year, blah, blah, blah. Well, part two could be that Tyler Booker comes in and right away picks it up. Right away, ready to go. And even his rookie struggles could end up, being like nothing to even worry about. You might not hear much about it. He's a smart player. He's technique sound. He's physical. He's big. He's mean. He's nasty. He doesn't allow pressure in the passing game, and he moves people in the running game. Just saying, I know it's not a sexy pick. I know it's not a wide receiver. I know it's not a running back. I know it's not a quarterback, and I can name all the other positions. But it is a very good pick. And if you're looking at it from the standpoint of did the Dallas Cowboys get better after their pick in round one than they were before they picked, they absolutely got better. So there's that. Like the guy, like listening to the guy, and not to mention he's from my home state, so big ups to him. Now, secondly, the way the first round went was pretty good. And I say that because Shador Sanders is still on the clock for the second round. The Jalen Milroe is still on the clock for the second round. Right? So right there you have two quarterbacks at the top of the second round. So now I think that pushes some other people down to the Cowboys on their board, right? You have Will Johnson. He's still going to be there. You have some really good running backs. I don't want to name them because I don't want to jinx it. So y'all can't come back here and say, you said this person's name. And that's why they got picked. Don't come blaming me. But in particular, they took my top two running backs. It was heartbreaking to see Mario Hampton go to Denver because for a split, not Denver, sorry, to the Chargers. Because for a split second, I thought, man, Maybe Hampton makes it out of the first round, and if he does, whoa boy, but he didn't. Pet cat. I'm probably gonna be following a little bit of the Chargers, not in a major way. I'm not betraying the Cowboys, but just to see what my homie does, because I feel like he is going to end up being the second best running back out of the class. You know, the best running back not named Ashton Genty, but there's some other guys that I've talked about in other episodes. If you want to, go back in the archives, that I'm really happy are here in the second round. And then the same thing, I'm going to take the same approach. There's some receivers there that I like, that you guys know that I like, that are there in the second round, that could end up very much helping the Cowboys. So the way the second round board is stacking up, if you didn't think the pick of Booker was sexy, and you're like, dang, man, the Cowboys, always with them offensive linemen. All right, I got you. But don't you think now, with the way the second round is falling and with the way some of these players are here on the board at all the sexy positions, you're going to get exactly what you want. And as far as hype and, being able to say, I'm pumped up about this pick and, this makes me feel awesome because it's something tangibly that I can grab. Well, you're probably going to get that in the second round. You're going to get safety. You're going to get a corner. You're going to get a wide receiver. You're going to get a running back. So you're good, unless they go in and all of a sudden Schlesinger falls to them and they take a linebacker in the second round, then people are really gonna have their balls in the bunch. But hey, it's neither here nor there. I'm happy about it. Tomorrow we get 2 rounds. In the third round, I don't even want to speculate because I feel like it's too early. There's some questions about Alfred Collins' medical, so it seems like he's definitely going to continue to slip. But they took a lot of good defensive tackles early, and this is a good defensive tackle draft. That's another good point on Booker, right? If you have a draft full of amazing defensive tackles who are over there just whooping up on people and knocking this dude left and knocking this dude right, and we're trashing the running game and we're trashing the passing game, why not take the dude who was supremely talented at blocking those dudes? Because that's what Booker was. So there is also that. But that's my time for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You can follow me on Twitter at JMillerIYL. That's JMiller if you like. You can also hit me up at knockersonthebottom at Outlook.com. Again, knockersonthebottom at Outlook.com. You can also hit me up at knockersonthebottom at gmail.com. If you have any questions, any comments, you can leave them below. I'll take them here. I'll take them via Twitter. I'll take them via email. Make it into a mailbag. Make it a formal segment. By the way, we will have a mailbag segment. Speaking of that, after the draft is done, because we've already been getting some questions in. So now just kind of probably try to take it through the whole 7 rounds and maybe come back next week and start early with that. We're also going to be having some player breakdowns here soon. So we're going to go through and kind of recap some of the stuff that happened last season and some of the ways that maybe we can use some of these guys to fit into the new scheme. We'll take a look at some of Arizona's film since our offensive coordinator came from there. He was the line coach. Now that we know that we have that piece, we can take a look at some of that and see where we might be able to translate that into some Cowboys offense. So it's some good stuff coming forward. But like I said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Love you guys. J-Mill if you like, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. But till next time, I'm your host. This has been Knockers on the Bottom. Peace.